At ASML, we work with our partners to provide the semiconductor industry with patterning solutions that enable groundbreaking technology. Our industry is on a growth path, and we have the opportunity to grow together. But growth isn't always a straight line. Today, the industry is going through a short-term downturn, while demand for our products continues to exceed our capacity. We need to look beyond the horizon and start planning for the future now. We rely heavily on our suppliers to meet our customers' expectations for innovation, growth, and shorter cycle times. And the only way we can continue to meet our customers' demands is by growing together with you. We're committed to nurturing our relationships with you, seeking your feedback, improving collaboration, and building trust. This is the foundation for how we will meet the challenges of the future together. We want to strengthen our partnerships and improve our processes to ensure a healthy, robust supply chain that is needed today and is prepared for the demands of tomorrow. We value all your contributions and thank you for your commitment to working with us to advance technology 1 nanometer at a time. We need to grow in a sustainable way, and we're counting on you, our suppliers, to join us on this journey. Success will come from growing together. Welcome to our Global Suppliers Day 2023.
It's great to see you all. Good morning, everybody. Whether you're joining in person or joining online, whether it's your first time or you've been here before, we have prepared an interesting program for you today.
非常欢迎现场的嘉宾，也欢迎线上的嘉宾参与今天的活动。
Before we start our program today, let's start with safety. Safety is always first. Please make sure you're aware where the exit or the emergency location are, which is the 4 doors behind you. In case of an emergency, please leave this room via the closest door to you. Also, please keep the aisle clear by putting your bags under your seat.
首先，请注意一下安全须知，请净空走道，并把你的手提行李放置在座位的下方。也请注意离你最近的紧急出口，在舞台的两方以及整个会议室的后方。
Next to physical security, let's talk about information security. So please be noted, all the information that is shared or discussed today are all subject to our non-disclosure agreement. Please also, it's not allowed to take any photos, pictures, screenshot of any kind today. And our presentation contains looking forward statement. For more information on looking forward statement, you can go to our event page.
今日所有分享的资讯都基于 NDA。第二点，请不要拍照或是录影。第三，免责声明都在活动网站上。
Okay. We will take some time later to answer your question in the latter session. So people from the audience, please wait until microphone is handed over to you. So everybody joining this event can hear your question clearly. For people joining online, you can also submit your question via chat function. Last but not least, please keep your badge visible at all times.
在下午的时段会有 Q&A。届时你可以问问题，在线上的贵宾也可以把你的问题留在 chat 上。最重要的是，请随时佩戴你的 badge。Okay, it's time to start. It's our great pleasure to welcome the head of Sourcing and Procurement Asia, Bruce Zhang. Let's welcome Bruce to the stage.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. So You don't feel the downturn here, right? Do you? So it's great that we can have this ASML Supplier Day for the Asia region together, right? Especially, I think this is the first event after the COVID that we can really face-to-face. I see our suppliers from Singapore, from the Malaysia, and also from the Vietnam side here. Thank you, and very welcome you to be here. And I also see suppliers from the mainland China, and suppliers from the South Korea, and also Japan here. Also thank you and welcome. And we also invited our ASML, our cluster people, our management executive, they're also flying to join the Asia event. And also I see online, we also have about 150 people dialed in right now. Thank you for all of you joining us today. So as an ASML tradition of the Supplier Day, and also the Sales Day, so we don't have golfing, sorry, right? But we prepare a 4-day of information sharing. Okay, we want to share what we know to you. We want to carry you along to grow with us. Next page. So I think I have 3 pages for my welcome section. So I want to do a little bit recap about last year, what ASML shared to you, okay? So this is the key message we shared to you last year, okay? So I think last year our CEO, Peter Wenick, and also our CFO, Roger Dawson, talk about our growth last year, right? I think at last year, September, the industry was very nervous about whether the growth will continue. But we told you, please prepare your capacity for the growth for the past 12 months, 2022 to 2023. That's what we told you. And now looking back, what we say is true. In 2021, our whole company revenue was 18 billion euro. In 2022, we were about 21 billion euro. And this year, we are targeting about 27 to 28 billion euro. So that was 18% growth plus 30% growth this year. I want to thank you for your trust and support to us that enable our output in the past 18 months and that drive this revenue growth. Thank you. I think also last year, we talked about our risk and our challenges ahead, right? So last year, we invited TSMC on the stage. We also have videos talk from the Sony, Yamaguchi-san, and also Samsung as well. So they told us, so we were not competitive enough. They told us, we are giving opportunity to our peers in the industry, our competitors. That's what we share to you. And I think in the past 12 months, we didn't do well. So we see the market becoming, we are losing our market share in our I-line, in our KIF. We are also losing share on the E-beam and the optical metrology on the EOStar. So we together has to be more competitive on all these NPI, quality, and cost. I think in today's section, we will elaborate more. I think on the opportunity side, we will have Edward to share about our outlook for the next 2 years and also our supply chain strategy. That's what we will share to you. On the challenging side, we also get our customer team management, Bruce Sen, and he will share with you about our customer voice. I think next page. I will talk a little bit about the macroeconomic, the macro situation. In the last 12 months, what we see has changed, and what we see has not changed. So I think on the macroeconomics wise, so we see the inflation are slowing down, right? I think in the last 2-3 years, there was a lot of concern on inflation that pushed out the raw materials. We see the inflation is slowing down. And we also see the geopoliticals, all these geopolitics, is something even ASML we cannot manage. So we cannot manage how and whether there will be a war somewhere around the world. We cannot manage. But we have to do our supply chain strategy in a way that we can live with that. We also see what has not changed is this industry cycle, right? I think like me, I worked in the industry for 20 years. In the early years, year 2000, there's always 2 years upturn, come with 2-year downturn, right? But I think in the last 6 years, it has been a consistent growth. And finally, this 1 year, a little bit slowdown come. So there will be cycle. But we also see what doesn't change is the structural growth of semiconductor, and that drives the semiconductor equipment industry to grow, and that will also bring you and your growth at our supplier side. So that long term doesn't change. So I think for this one day, so this is the agenda we want to share with you, okay? So we will talk a little bit about our industry by our Peter Wenick, and also we will share about our outlook and voice of the factories, and also we will talk about voice of our customer, then ESG collaboration, technology roadmap, and also our planning. I think in the end, we want to recognize all of our suppliers, plus some special thanks to a few suppliers with the extraordinary effort. Okay. And in the end, we want to end by a little bit cocktail instead of golfing, right? So we will do some cocktail, and we want to meet all of you. Okay. Thank you, and enjoy today.
Thanks, Bruce, for the opening and walking us through the agenda for today. Before we start our next session, please allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Jasper Chen.
I am Nicole Chen.
And we will be your host today.
Yeah.
So for next session, our CEO, Peter Wenick, who is not able to join us in person today, still, he wants to share with all of you what he sees in the industry and the market.
谢谢 Bruce 的开场，也分享了今日的议程。CEO Peter Wenick 会用影片的方式分享他从 CEO 的角度来看市场状况跟产业趋势。让我们来看这段影片。
Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know where you are, but I'm really excited to be here because, you know, when we talked amongst each other about the preparation or about this day and the preparation, we had one question: how do we tell our partners and suppliers that they still need to do what we want them to do while they read the papers? You know, and there's always been the challenge. But in fact, I mean, this is where we are. Yeah? So I'm going to actually address the papers, the short term, but I'm also going to address the long term. And I'd like to start with the long term because we would not be in this position where we are today if we would not focus, us and our partners and our supply chain, on what lies ahead. And I don't mean short term, I mean long term. So when we think about the trends, this is, again, and we do this with our strategic marketing group, we talk to our customers, we look at the data. This industry by 2030 will top $1 trillion. We're currently at just lower than 600. And you know, why is it? Why do we still believe that? Because everything that we said last year, whether it's connectivity, whether it's driven by the cloud infrastructure, and last year we didn't talk about artificial intelligence the way that we do today. You know, you read the news, the generative AI applications will accelerate. They will drive the leading-edge semiconductor manufacturing significantly. The likes of not only NVIDIA, I think it's going to be AMD, Intel, they're all going after the Holy Grail. It's going to happen. So this, when we did last year our Capital Markets Day, we did not include, let's say, the spurt that you will see from artificial intelligence over the next couple of years to come, which will probably only focus in the second half of this decade. You know, the second half of this decade, artificial intelligence will be more dominant, but it means we need to be ready with capacity to support our customers. And of course, climate change, you know, it's a big thing. Because it's not only about energy generation. You know, wind, 1 megawatt of wind takes about 4,000 euros worth of, solar takes about 4,000 euros worth of semiconductors, wind about 3,500. And we need gigawatts, not megawatts. And it's being built as we speak, but that's just a generation. But we need to think about climate change and this stuff as a systemic solution. So it means distribution. It means a smart grid, which means a lot of semiconductors. It means storage. So if you think about climate change and semiconductors, it's evident that we need a lot. And it's not going to be 5 nanometer, it's going to be mature. A lot of mature semiconductors in terms of square inches are needed. And then the socio-economic shifts, you know, we have an aging population. I think demographics will be, again, the healthcare, medtech, it's all driven by semiconductors. And every time when we look at the trends, the underlying trends are significant, yeah? And they all need more semiconductors. So we strongly believe in this 1 trillion target. Now, short term, we are going through a downturn, that's clear. And why is that? I think it's a macroeconomic shock. I can show you later on a slide that shows as a longer period. From time to time, we have these macroeconomic shocks. And semiconductors used in the many, many applications that we have, of course, are subject to this, you know, to these shocks also. What we're seeing today is after a significant reduction of revenue, you see it here in 3D NAND, in DRAM, in advanced logic, and in mature, you see a reduction in sales for our customers. But also you see it's a bit of a turn, yeah? And these are the revenue growth numbers. So it's picking up again. So we are indeed seeing the first signs of bottoming out. That's not only on this graph because of revenue for our customers, but we also see it. Because don't forget, a year ago, our customers, or when at the beginning of this year, yes, it was clear that we were heading into a down cycle. Most of our customers thought that by the end of this year we would be out of this downturn and we would be in an upturn again, which by the way is not the case today. And that's because their estimate of the duration of this downturn at that moment in time, which about 9 months ago, 10 months ago, was shorter than the average lead time of our machines. They thought within a year we would be back in an upturn, and the lead time of our machines is 1.5 years. So of course they kept giving us orders. Now, one thing is different today, that the duration of this macroeconomic weakness goes into 2024. That's clear, yeah? But that also means that in 2024 we do expect a recovery, and the first signs are here on this slide, but also we see it in the utilization rates of our tools. So clearly, there's underutilization in the industry today because of this trend. Sales is down, so you shut down the machine. But we're seeing this recovery coming. The first signs of this recovery, whether it's in utilization rates or in wafer starts, or whether it's in pricing, whether it's in news coming out a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, that for the first time in 12 months, NAND shipments out of Korea are going up again. There's first signs. So everything that we look at seems to be pointing to a recovery next year. And which, if you look at the longer term trend, it is how it works, you know. It was 2001. Yeah, I look around, there's gray hair enough to remember this. So in 2001, we had the implosion of the dot-com bubble. Yeah, that was a macroeconomic shock. Yeah, it takes 2 to 3 years to come out of it. Yeah, well, in 2008, yeah, the financial crisis took 2 years to get out of it. Macroeconomic shock. I think COVID together with 10 years of quantitative easing, where money was cheap, money was for free, of course you would have a macroeconomic shock. It takes 2 to 3 years to get out of it. There's one big difference with 20 years ago. The application space, which I referred to earlier, is much bigger. 20 years ago it was compute, personal compute, centralized computing that was driving the semiconductor industry. Today it's much wider. I mean, think about electrical vehicles. I mean, they need 4 to 5 times more semiconductors than a combustion engine car. So there are more drivers, 2 to 3 years. Well, this downturn started in Q3 2022 for our memory customers, and quickly afterwards, 1 or 2 quarters later, logic followed. So it is logical that by 2024, when we also see these first signs, it will come back again. So 2024 is what we called last week when we presented our results, a transition year. Because 2025 is going to be big. And why is that? Because there are 2 things. One, we're coming out of a downturn. I'm pretty sure that by 2025 we'll be in the first year of an upturn. And the number of new fabs, new factories around the globe has never been as big as it is today. That has to do, one, with the longer-term vision that our customers have on the growth of our industry and the need for semiconductors in all these segments that I just mentioned. But also there's a geopolitical angle. Many of these fabs are being supported by governments around the globe. Whether it's in China, Korea, United States, Europe, we're talking about building new, actually, I was at an Intel fab opening a few weeks ago in Ireland. There's going to be a 5-nanometer fab. They're going to build a 2-nanometer fab in Magdeburg. There's going to be a 14 to 28-nanometer fab by TSMC, a joint venture with 3 European partners in Dresden. There's a few examples of what's happening. These fabs are being built as we speak. And they need machines. So you imagine this. This is the kind of fabs that we are seeing across the globe. Many of them. These are new fabs, big ones, on top of what we strongly believe is going to be the first full-year recovery after 2.5 years of downturn. It's going to be a disaster. We cannot deliver. I see the body floating. And we cannot afford that because we did it to our customers in 2001 and 2002. So we need to prepare for 2025. 2024 is a transition year. 2025, 2026 is going to be big. That's what we firmly believe. Now, and that's what we need to prepare for. I think that is the message. That is this balancing act between the short-term news and the longer-term vision, even the medium-term vision, because 2025, 2026 is not long-term, that's medium-term. So, yes, the market is to expect to recover after a 2-year, 2 and a 2.5 year peak. I talked about this. So, past upturns have actually shown, as you saw in the previous graph, that when it goes down, it goes up quite rapidly. These things never go slow. Steep down, steep up. And that's what we need to prepare for. We just need to be ready. This is a kind of you could say it's a theoretical graph, which basically the blue line shows you a long-term growth path, which is obvious. And around that is the cyclicality. It's the macroeconomic and the industry cycle. And we build capacity. We need to build capacity in steps. So there will be always this time of under and over capacity, but we need to be able, as a single supplier to this industry, to always deliver, more or less always deliver what our customers want. They can be it's a week late or a few weeks late, but not half a year or a year late, especially what we saw with some of our customers. Our Chinese customers have actually waited sometimes more than a year or a year and a half to get what they wanted, because we undershipped them quite significantly, because we did not have the capacity. We cannot have that. Customers that are, it's all about customer trust. If you're a monopolist, let's use the word, there's no legal people here, so I can do that. So, I suppose, then the worst thing that you can lose is the trust of the customer. Trust. You know, and trust is so critical. Because you know, trust is also critical between us. You know, because we can tell you all these great stories, but you, in the end, have to say, yes, we trust each other, it's going to happen, and we're going to do this. I'll come to that later. Okay, so what does that mean for ASML? Well, business is holding up quite nicely. Here you see the estimate for 2023, you know, 27.2 billion in sales. You know, 10 years ago, we did 4.7. So if you look at this, it is an unbelievable growth story, you know? And you're all part of it. And we strongly believe that by 2025, we'll be between 30 and 40 billion. We had an analyst discussion last week. And they said, you know, most analysts say, well, you know, you have to be careful, you know. Most of us have the average analyst expectations for 2025 is at the low end of this range, between 30 and 40 billion. Roger and I looked at each other and said, I don't think it's going to happen. It's going to be higher. But like financial analysts are and investors at this moment, you know, when you're in a downturn, they look into the pit, the eternal pit, you know, that life is never going to be better. And when it's in an upturn, you know, the Mount Everest is not high enough. Yeah? That's always the, you know, same thing. So we had to be careful by telling them they were completely wrong. Yeah? It's going to be a very good year. You know, we think this will be, that's it. We will challenge the upside of this range, not the downside. So, and then for 2030, same thing. That's a bit further out. Okay, so I talked about trust. And I use it internally, I use it externally. Trust is so important if we are the only ones. And you are very often the only ones to us. Yeah? Now, you need to be able to do something very well. It's a capability. You need to be reliable. You tell us what you do, and you do what you tell us. I think that's almost hygiene, you know, like you brush your teeth, you know. You're good at what you do, and you're reliable. The most important part are the transparency part and the self-interest. And self-interest is nothing else but a fair sharing of risks and rewards. Now, why do I think this is important? Because I also realize, and this was our first slide, our challenge is how to grow. How do we grow? And you've also seen it in one of those slides, you know, 10 years ago, 4.7 billion, now we're just going over 30. And so just over 10 years later. It's by brute force. And brute force is people. So we have people in ASML, you've actually seen that. You add people because you grow. And how important is it for those new people to actually work on trust? If you're a new manager at ASML and you come in, you want to show that you're worth being at the biggest company in the Netherlands and the most important high-tech company in Europe. So you want to do what's good for ASML. That's very understandable. Just like when you have your salespeople there, they want to do well because you grow also. Transparency is not about telling each other what you want. Transparency is also to talk to each other about what your concerns are, where you're vulnerable. That we need to understand each other, why things can be done and cannot be done. There's no problem. We need each other. Same with us and our customers. We can always go to our customer, but in the end we need to find a solution. They have nowhere to go, we have nowhere to go. I need to understand not what they want, I want to understand what they fear. And that means people then need to, you know, be very vulnerable to it. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge in a fast-growing organization with all those new people. And they all want to do good. I'm naive. That's what my wife tells me constantly. But I believe 99.9% of the people want to do good. And it's also true when we work with each other. And that is, if you're very transparent and you are vulnerable, self-interest, fairly managing the risks and the rewards of the things that we need to do together. Not only what we want to do, but we need to do this together. We very often have nowhere to go. Yeah? And that means put it on the table. I'm not so much interested in what we want, I'm interested in what keeps us back. Yeah? And that in the context of fairly sharing the risks and the rewards of our common business. That's what we need to do. And it takes courage. You know? And I would invite you all to put it on the table, to just say openly what can and what cannot be done. In an environment where the short term is not going to be that easy, short term, I mean the next 12 months, because you will see that our industrial production will actually go down a bit. Yeah? But we have to go up again, so we need to prepare for 2025. And that means in 2024, we're going to, we actually said it also in the analyst call, we're going to buffer. Yeah? That's the wrong word. We're going to pre-build. We're going to pre-order to make sure that we have a buffer, a spurt capacity in terms of inventory, in terms of work in process that we can use, because 2025 is going to be a big upturn year. Otherwise, we'll not be able to do it. Yeah? So let's be transparent on this. Yeah? And let's be fairly sharing the risks and the rewards of this challenge. That's critical. And in the end, yeah, let's be very honest, we don't do it only for ourselves, we do it for our stakeholders. We're a stakeholder company. Yeah, we work for 5 stakeholders. And we as the top management are stakeholder managers. So we manage our customers, our suppliers and partners, our people, our shareholders and society, increasingly governments. Which, by the way, I would have liked that to be not the case, but unfortunately we are where we are. And you probably have a few questions on this also later on. So, but that's important, huh? To be successful, we have to make our customers successful. Yeah? And it is critical. You know, customers, sometimes when I talk to customers, and I try to imagine I was in their place, from time to time, the way that we do things, I would be scared to death about how we do things. You know? It's going to be cutthroat competition in the customer base. Cutthroat. But it's Intel that needs to go into a foundry service model. Yeah? Because it will be a foundry service model, is going to be the growth model. And together with TSMC, Samsung, our Chinese customers, they actually need that. So they actually are fearful. Huh? I'd like to understand their fear. I like to understand I want to be transparent on what keeps them awake, because I need to help. Because their success is my success. Our success is your success. And this is how we need to look at the world. So, this is what I wanted to tell you. I mean, it's not a great set of data. It's hopefully a personal view of the world, and I hope it gave you a bit of inspiration. Thank you very much.
As Peter mentioned, we have significant opportunity to prepare for our next upturn. And all suppliers are invited to help with our next foreseeable upturn together with ASML.
如同 Peter 所说，现在是为下一个产业荣景做准备的大好机会。我们也邀请供应商跟我们一起合作，迎接下一个产业荣景。
Coming up next, our next speaker, Edward Stipau. Edward has tremendous experience, profound experience in semiconductor industry with different roles in his past career. We will invite Edward to share with us overarching ecosystem and where ASML's focus will be.
Edward 在半导体产业有相当丰富的经验，接下来他将跟我们分享 ASML 接下来发展的重点。Let's welcome Head of Regional Sourcing and Procurement and NPR, Edward Stipau, to the stage.
Thank you. I have a microphone, thank you. Thank you, Jason and Nicole. It's always good to work with young talent in ASML. It's what we need in the future, not all these gray hair men, right? Well, you'll see a few gray hair men today here, but I apologize for that. Let me first quickly introduce myself. I had the opportunity already to meet quite a few of you in trips over the past 2 months to the United States and to Asia. I love very much to come to Asia. I'm Edward Stipau. I've been in the semiconductor industry for 30 years. I started at Philips Semiconductors and been with ASML for the last 24 years. So when I joined, ASML was still less than 1,000 people. And we had, I believe, 9% market share. So we worked a lot with our customers. I've been, all my time of 24 years, I've been at the customer side of ASML. So when you talk about the trust equation that Peter just showed, We've worked a lot over the last 20, 25 years to build the trust with our customers. Particularly spend a lot of time with one of the bigger customers here on the island. Specifically over the last 5 years, building with them EUV into HVM. And as some of you know, we have more than 100 EUV systems on this island alone today. So that's a remarkable achievement. ASML has been investing in EUV for 20 years. So when Peter talks about long-term commitment and believing in where you want to go, EUV is an example of a great success, which we're still trying to recover the investment from. Anyway, I prepared for you today a few slides. Some of them will be a repetition of what Peter said. One of my professors in the past always said repetition is the mother of all knowledge. So we'll repeat a few slides and they give you a little bit more depth. As Peter said, and Bruce also started in the introduction, this is a good place to be. The past few weeks I talked to a few of our suppliers that also work with our peers in the industry, and they've been hit as part of this semiconductor downturn by 30 to 40% reduction in revenue in business. We at ASML, we've grown 30%. We will grow 30% this year. So thank you, this is a good place to be, and we'd like to work with you to capture the growth that Peter presented. That will not be easy. So maybe Peter makes it look very easy. I can tell you it's not very easy, and we need your help. So if nothing else today, please look at this slide, and particularly on the right side, we'll cover it later. These are the points I'd like you to carry home and to work on in the next few years or year. What we will do on the left side, because it's always important in a relationship to tell you first what we will do, we will be committed, as Peter said, to tell you as we see it. I think we've been pretty successful in predicting what was going to happen this year. We were not successful, well, luckily or unluckily, in predicting all kinds of geopolitical situations, but we know the semiconductor business. We know what the drivers are, and we know what is needed in terms of ASML products to get that industry going. So we will tell you as we see it. We will be very open, very transparent. We'll talk later about our planning system. Maybe occasionally we're too transparent, go up and down all the time, but that's for later. We'll see, again, a big growth this year. We'll see flattening next year, which, compared to some of our peers is already good. But we see a massive growth in 2025 that we have to prepare for. And you'll see the graph later where we need to increase the capacity. We will never digitally increase the capacity. So we will increase the capacity by continuing to order from our supply chain. And as Peter mentioned, we don't like the word buffer. We will pre-build in our supply chain or even in our factory to be ready for 2025 tsunami, basically, of growth. Now, what we will ask of you, of our partners, is a couple things. As we will invest in capacity in Veldhoven, in Linkou, in Tainan, in our factories in Wilton and San Diego, we would like for you to also invest and trust that the underlying drivers of this business are there and that the market will recover in 2025. Like Peter is saying, we cannot, we barely managed last year. We undershipped our Chinese customers. We cannot have this again in 2025 and 2026. So we need to be ready. It will be, also from your behalf, a bit of an investment, but we have to go there. Now, it's a fair sharing of risk. We will take some risks next year by pre-building. That means we have to pre-finance. We will also ask for your help in that manner to share a bit the risk, but we will jointly get the benefits in 2025. Now, that's all business. Second piece, third point, sustainability. We talked about young kids for the future. we need to leave a good space there for them to also grow and have benefits. So we need to make sure that our footprint in terms of ESG, and Kate will talk about this later, is also sustainable in the future. Last but not least, unfortunately, there's also people in the world that still mean bad things to us, and we've seen a few examples as recently as a few months ago, where some of our suppliers have been shut down by attacks, and I can only advise you to make sure that you are up to date on security and make sure that your vulnerability there is as limited as possible. Now let's go into a few of the details. Let's see, we can go to the next slide, yeah. Now the outlook, Peter talked about this. I think it's very important. You see the revenue in the various market segments. We see on 3 of the 4 market segments, the most important market segments when you talk about ASML revenue, you see the market hit rock bottom and it's coming back up. And we've been seeing this since just before the summer. Utilization rates of our systems, as you probably know, we can remote monitor our systems, so we know exactly what the utilization of our systems in the field is. We predominantly use that remote control for service to make sure our systems are up, but we can also see the utilization from these systems go up. We're still not at utilization rates that were 90+% last year, but we are recovering back up. So that's very good news. Peter showed this as well. We're coming out, but you see an immensely steep curve ahead of us, which we will have to cater for by pre-building, because we will not be able to manage the steepness of the curve without doing that in 25 and 26. Let me go back to this one. This is the 30% growth that you saw, 21 billion in 22 to 27 billion in maybe even 28 in 23, and then the very steep curve flatness on 24, and the very steep curve to 2025 that we have to be able to achieve. And I think, as Peter said, given the drivers, we're pretty confident that we will make this. As a matter of fact, we think that the only limiting factor to achieve this revenue is this group and ASML. So the 2 partners together, making sure that we can supply this demand. This theoretical curve, Peter also showed it. It's of course debatable where we are today. I would probably say we're somewhere here. We need together to build all of this capacity to make sure that we get here. Now, it's very important to say, and I'll get back to that in the next few slides, that other than us enabling this capacity, the customer must also buy this capacity. So there's 2 things that inhibit us from capturing this. One is us building it, and the other thing is building it at the right cost. So we assume that with this capacity build-up, we will maintain or even increase in some areas our market share. Now, Peter said the word monopoly, which we are not allowed to use, so I won't do it again. But we only have that in EUV. So EUV, the cost proposition of EUV is something that we control ourselves, and the EUV market is limited by the application space. It's the famous Moore's law, economic law, that you double the amount of functionality on a chip every 2 years, so you basically reduce the cost and therefore opening up application space. So you create your own market space, you create your own growth. Now, if you cannot do that at a price effective point in EUV, the market space will just not be there, and then EUV growth will stop by itself. So that's one area of EUV where you might think we're the only player, but we are inhibited by cost of opening up this market space. Self-driving, augmented reality, artificial intelligence. That's one. On the other end, a little bit the maturer market, but also metrology, YieldStar and HMI, we have competition. So other players were already in the market space and they're gaining strength. Like Canon is a very fierce competitor, a Japanese competitor that is able not to make systems that produce as much wafers per hour as we do, but they are able to do that at a relatively much lower cost. So the whole business space that we're in is about producing wafers per day over euros. If you have low wafers per day, you can command low euros. If you have high wafers per day, you can command a higher euro. That ratio is the competitive space. Now in I-line, we've lost almost all of our market share because our ratio is not correct. And Martin will talk about a system, the XT260, that we will bring out next year that will position us in a new competitive space in I-line, but we need to hit the right costs for that machine. In KrF, we will be bringing out an NXT, which is a very high-speed stage in KrF. We need a little bit more laser power from our Cymer friends, and then we can also go to a new place with respect to wafer per day over mega euro. We still need cost reduction in the supply chain to make both of those systems competitive. And that basically means that we're preparing ourselves for this next capacity cycle. So, recap, 2023 as per guidance, we're pretty much spot on when it comes to the market trends. Gradual recovery. 2025 will be a very, very good year, and the long-term outlook towards 60 billion euro company is unchanged. Now, what we need to do, of course, and I said this is a graphic representation, is hit the right cost points. So if you look, and this is the KrF example, where we're trying to gain market share back, our customers will look at our systems in three cost components, right? The cost of the system, the make and install cost, and the service cost, typically a warranty piece and a 10 years of service. Now, what we already are doing today is reducing the cost of the system to make sure we hit the right wafer per day over mega euro price ratio. So we have a potential to get to here, but that's still not a healthy business in our product portfolio. So we're missing still about, in this KrF space, we're missing about 25% cost. So this is where we need to work together. And what we need to do is the following to take cost out of the system. Cost buckets, where we need active cooperation between the suppliers and ourselves, our teams, on industrialization. So if you're running a process with too low yield, please make sure, and we will help to increase the yield such that we can take the cost out. I should have started with the fact that we're not looking to reduce your margin. I think Peter also said it. We all need to be profitable, right? It's all about our stakeholders, investors, people that work for us. You need to have a healthy margin. That's not the point. What we want to do is take the waste out. Stuff that has no relevance, has no value, needs to come out. If the yields in your process is too low, let's work together to increase it. If you have a suggestion to use different material or to not use some of these pre-described parts, for instance, let us know. Because we, in contrast to in the past, because frankly, the whole company has basically worked for the last 5 to 7 years on making EUV work. We feel comfortable that EUV is an HVM. It will stay in HVM, and it is working. Also, our customers are saying. So we're pivoting the company around the market share that I just talked about. So design to cost is increasingly important. You've said in the past, I have these suggestions, but you never listen. We will start to listen, because this is, in some of the market spaces, a life or death for us. So we will listen and we will act. So we want to go local supply, local repair, look at your parts usage, care about the amount of parts that we use, be a responsible supplier, efficiency, and even alternative transport if need be. And working capital management is another thing. So cycle time is very important. Our customers have typically visibility of months, maybe a quarter or two, but they don't have visibility of a year and a half, which is our cycle time. So that's always the stress between the market and our interaction with suppliers, is this huge difference in cycle time that we have. Now, two more things. I'm aware in the 2 months that I've been doing this, of course I get a lot of complaint from our suppliers and partners that we're difficult to do business with, because you have many people that contact you, many questions. But I do like to say that we're at the front of being a responsible partner and a responsible OEM. Although occasionally being annoying, we genuinely care about ESG and sustainability, because we feel that's the only way that we can continue long term. So, some of it is because we really want to, some of it is because, and that's the bureaucracy, that's the governmental rules that we have to follow. Like, for instance, this EU directive, and Kate will talk about it a little bit more, that becomes active in 2025. It's called Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, where we have to report on ESG in its widest sense. Now, we already get a lot of support from our suppliers on answering these questions. There's a specific request around two particular points, and we've recently seen the example of Russia steel, where we asked you, are you using or not using steel from Russia? That was driven by the EU and the United States because of the unfortunate circumstance that we have in Europe. So that's one component. We try to identify where the material comes from and what you're using. And the other point is, of course, is the social impact on the people and communities. So two data points that we need your help with in the near future to interact and answer questions about. And we feel very passionate that we should care about. That's my first question to you. My second question, after this recap, cost of goods important, and CSRD very important, is around IP. Increasingly important. We've seen attacks. I cannot tell you how much time a day we are being attacked. It's a ridiculous number. We have a huge group of people, close to 100, working at ASML to help us protect in the IT environment, in the safety environment, to protect us against this. And we can only stress, not high enough, please be vigilant on this as well. We've seen a couple of examples in the past, like I said, where our suppliers being attacked, they can no longer ship, and they inhibit us from finishing our product and sending it to a customer. We will always help, so please be open. We will always help, but we need to make sure that you protect yourself to the best possible position today. So we will start to audit against this new ISO spec. We'd like you to, either through consultancy or dedicated resources that we have partners that we can help you with. Make sure that you stay up to date. Make sure you inform us of attacks where we try to help. And related to that, given the geopolitical situation, also be very mindful of the ASML data that under NDA we share with you. So you should not bring EUV information on laptops into China. That is not allowed. So it is that extensive, right? It's that simple to violate. So I mean, we're providing people with separate laptops when they go to China, so they cannot take their own laptop. And we need to clear these of all things that are IP sensitive related to the geopolitical situation. So please help us be sensitive to these things. Okay, so recapping again, we will tell you we will tell you what we see. So not only in terms of market, but also in terms of geopolitics or ESG or even IT security, as I just did. We ask for your help. Please invest in capacity next year, because the market, it was already good. It will stay okay next year, but it will really be booming the year after, and we need to be ready, and that means we need to start now. Be transparent and focus on sustainability and IT security. Okay? And with that, I hand over to Tony. This is what happens if you're a senior manager at ASML. You see the gray hair?
Right on time, 11. I asked Bruce, can you make sure the deliveries are like that too? Good. Good morning, everyone. I'll first repeat what Edward said earlier. It's nice to work with our young talents, the backbones of the future. And then Edward mentioned about gray hair and years in the industry. That's exactly the area I was trying to avoid. But anyway, it's apparent. I spent 26 years in the semiconductor industry, a little bit shorter of Edward's experience. I started to work for an American company, American semiconductor material company, and then worked for a British company on the equipment, and then landed in ASML. So out of the 26 years, I've also seen a few upturns and downturns, but not having seen a long upturn like we've seen in the last 10 years, which was phenomenal. So from Peter and from Edward, and also in the morning from Bruce, you heard all about the upturns towards 2030, right? Starting from 2025. Well, that's all good. To me, that's all opportunities, meaning this is the opportunities to have or the opportunities to miss. Yeah? And the market will not decide for us. We do. So how are we doing? I'm trying to stay on this slide for as long as I can, because the next few slides aren't the nicest slides. So how are we doing? Well, from factory perspective, we have gone through a lot of pain, and I will show you the consequence of the pains. You heard about building capacity, right, from the earlier slides. You heard about the cost pressure. You also heard about the material shortage, the need for delivery on time. One thing has not been said until now: quality. Quality sits right on top of my agenda, and I would like you to really ink that into our collaboration. If you deliver late, you may miss some business. If you deliver late with non-quality, you lose a customer, right? Not only you're killed twice. So it makes no sense to deliver late or with the right cost point without quality. Actually, I would say quality is on the forefront of everything else. If I'm TSMC, I don't really, well, in relative terms, you're late, you're expensive, but I cannot have the system I cannot use. Our systems, our customers run wafer 7x24, right? High volume. I think we push through between 200 to 300 wafers per system per hour. That's a lot of wafers. And most of the wafers will see the system many times. They will stay in the system going through the flow 2 to 3 months. Anytime when you have a non-quality, they have to go back to the previous steps to fix it. The rework is phenomenal. And the downtime it creates. I was trying to do some calculation last night. If you look at a basic mega fab which TSMC spends between 6 billion to 8 billion. If you take away the long depreciation, take the rest and depreciate it over, let's say, 4 to 6 years, mostly on the equipment life, you will see multi-million-dollar depreciation a day. That's exactly what one of my customers said to me a long time ago. He said, Tony, do you know how much it costs me when you have a system down? It costs me at least 1 million a day if you don't come to respond. When I open the door, whether I run wafers or not, I have $1 million depreciation. So that's the level of the customers we're working with, and the diligence that we have to really recognize, focus on quality is immeasurable. Right? I run the factory. I take great pride of our team. I take great pride on the systems that we sell to the customers with the ASML logo. So that's our commitment. And we really will not compromise of anything if we go in and explain why our system doesn't work. Not even a scratch on the panel. Okay? So if the previous speakers have not touched on quality, I'm adding it now onto the agenda to make sure you absolutely in sync together with us to collaborate. Because downtime is the time to fix everything, right? Every downtime we went through, we thought we can take a breather, but in fact not. We have to prepare MPI for the next generation. We have to fix all the quality issues. We have to deal with manpower issues, adding capacity. So sometimes we feel downtimes is even more excruciating to get ourselves ready. Because when the upturn comes, we have no time to react. Everything we have to fix it now. So if you felt I've been very heavy in terms of the tone and the pressure I put on the table, yes, I am. So last night when I was trying to prepare for this opening line, I didn't know what to say. I thought about it for a while, and I fell asleep. So this morning when I got up, it's still the same. I have this perplexity seeing the next few years is going to be phenomenal growth. And I ask ourselves collectively together, are we ready for that? And I don't have a positive answer going through what we're going through now. So hopefully the message is coming through to you that we can recognize the importance to get ourselves corrected. And the time we have to correct that, 12 months, right? We're at the end of 2023, you see the curve start to pick up 2025, so we have the next 12 months to get everything right in order to be ready to capture the upturn, or else we'll be left out by the market. So let's go to the next slide. Does this do anything? I don't see a button. It works, but I didn't touch anything. Start with the good news. So you see the Linkou factory. Some of you have been there, some of you have not. We started in 2009, and today we produce all the YieldStar systems. We also produce all the DUV reticle handler. We are also serving the mature market by making the 200 millimeter scanners. The 200 millimeter scanner business used to be refurbed. Now we have restarted the supply chain, so we started building new 200 millimeter scanners. Okay. We also service quite a bit of EUV collectors for TSMC. Now the picture on the right is the latest development. So 6 kilometers from our current factory, we acquire a piece of land. We went through all the proceedings. We own the land for the next 70 years. It's a 70-year lease. We pay all the money, free and clear. And we're waiting for the construction permit that we expect to start moving dirt, breaking ground on the 18th of January. So that's coming up. Okay. The site itself will be 5 times bigger than the current plot. So we're growing from 13,000 square meters to 67,000 square meters. Okay. And the clean room, so there are 2 plots in the new site, adding up total to 67,000 square meters. We will develop half of it. We call it phase 1. So phase 1, we will have about 10,000 square meters of clean room space and 20,000 square meters of offices, able to fuel the growth for the next 5 years or 7 years to 2030. And then we still have 34,000 square meters left to develop phase 2 beyond 2030. So you can see we are releasing our capability bottleneck by investing in facilities. Okay, so I think this is something very positive. I will not be able to invite you to the groundbreaking ceremony because we decided to make it a closed door. The reason for the closed door is exactly because of the geopolitics. So we'll do it in a low-profile, closed-door fashion. But I guarantee you we'll invite you back when we open the doors to greet the new growth, okay? So the 5 focuses, QLTCS. I'm sure you have heard all of you have heard about the abbreviation from SML sourcing, strategy, quality, logistics, technology, cost, and sustainability. Sustainability here not only means being sustainable to the environment, but also through the whole product cycle, the end of life, the sustainability of the product life as well. Okay. So in the next following slides is that before we embrace the future, the growth, where are we now? What do we have to get to? If you look at the whole ecosystem, and this is a simplified version, okay? There's suppliers, equipment and materials, and then there's our customers, the semicon fabs, and then their customers. Of course, in between, there's the front end, the back end, there's metrology, there's a whole heap of things. If I look at only these 3 sectors, okay, we are on the far left, us together, ASML, Apply, Lab Research, KLA, and all of our business partners here today. And then we serve our products to the semicon fabs, and they onwards serve their customers, which is basically every industry under the sun. You cannot imagine one particular industry that doesn't use chips, right? Although I put here the easier ones, the telecommunication, the mobile phones. But remember, the electric vehicle is coming up. That's a huge, giant 3C toy with wheels. There's a lot of data processing, right? Everything has gone to autopilot. Everything's gone to AI assisted. So there's a lot of high power compute, a lot of crunching, a lot of storage, a lot of requests for power efficiency, for cost efficiency. So everything at the end is all being governed by electronics. But how these 3 chunks works? Well, to me, it's always that to be successful, it's not just a win-lose, right? We sell it into the industry, of course, and we buy products and services from you. It has to be win-win. I would not believe there can be ever a win-lose situation and be a sustainable business relationship. So it's always how we synchronize the critical success factors with our customers, and our customers synchronize their success factors with their customers. When everything's synchronized well on the success factors, it's not difficult to think this will be a profitable, prosperous industry that can sustain. So how can we be successful? We need consistent quality, I already said it, right? A bad quality system serves 0 purpose with our customers. Delivery have to be on time because our customers do run wafers. They run wafers just like a bank printing dollar bills, except they have a shorter shelf life on the chips than a dollar bill. If TSMC miss a delivery to Apple that missed their seasonal Christmas peak, I think they just die, for that quarter. They live on that, right? And you see the iPhone 15, which was completely caught by surprise on the Huawei Mate 60. That's exactly the thing. Our customer's customer, they have a different competitive ecosystem than we do. They need seasonality, they need time to market, they need innovation, and they need new applications to create all these consumer needs. And the wafer fabs have to be hooked onto that. And we have to be hooked onto that. You see, that's where the critical success factors start to link with each other. So our customers, they look at costs on everything. Cost per die, cost per wafer, right? And the wafer has to produce good yield. So they usually sell wafers instead of selling each single dies. And the wafer has to generate a certain yield level for their customers willing to pay a good price for it. Or they also look at the cost of per billion transistors. So they measure their costs on those granular level. And then our customer already said, they live on new technology, innovation, to meet this consumer appetite. And when you, at the end, will see the commonality, cost is certainly showing across all three links, right? Delivery, I already said, it's important, but the quality. You cannot imagine today when you open up a box to take out a new mobile phone. It doesn't work. I think the phone quality today, it's already pretty good, right? It's very rare you turn on the phone, it doesn't work. Because over the years, it has been improved. But keep in mind, what happened to Motorola? What happened to BlackBerry? What happened to Nokia, right? The market doesn't decide for us, we do. Quality is the determining factor. People will pay a little bit higher price if you generate certain value. The value bigger than the cost, our customers will accept. TSMC buys over 100 UVs now. Over 100 UV systems. And you know how much UV costs. Obviously, we can bring the value to enable them to be lower on the cost per die or per transistors. So really, I think the answer is there already, says it all. QLTCS. Start with Q. Okay? Some examples. In the middle picture, you see this is the metal clamp that holds down lens in PPD, which is part of our reticle handler. Now, supposedly is electrode discharge cut, and then it needs to be electrode polished. And you see the two contrasts in the middle picture. The upper one, it was not polished well enough or deep enough to get the rough grains out. Now, I kicked myself when I realized it. 460 of those pieces already gone to our factory. We made 50 PPD out of it. And I couldn't understand why our engineers did not pick it up. I did investigate, and they said, well, we opened up the box, we put it in place like we normally do, and it was not in their mind to really see the discoloration. Even if they have done that, it only means they have caught the problem earlier. That means they have done their QC job, quality check. But I really would like to emphasize quality has to start right through quality assurance. Everybody else in the downstream can be blind and open up the box and feeling the confidence this is a good part. And that's a statement for good quality. Okay, I would hope you will agree with me on this. Second one is a robot gripper. It basically holds the reticle, okay? If you see the picture, the two pictures comparison to the right, because the supplier has changed the packaging materials, so it's kind of cramped the robot gripper in it. At the end, you see the two prongs is a little bit deformed, right? So you see the not okay picture. The space at the top is more narrow than the space at the bottom. Now, that can hit the reticle, that can hit the reticle library. If you know how much a reticle will cost, I remember a set of reticles can cost $10 million because that's where all the patterns are. In addition to quality, also the commitment to delivery. If you look at the pie chart on the absolute number of cases, on the, I think this is the escalation, okay? Asia accounts for 21% out of the total pie compared to Europe of 71. And these are escalations from my factory to the suppliers. And these are the absolute number of escalations. If you look at the purchasing quantity between what we buy from Asia versus what we buy from Europe, I think it's probably at par, which I had already originally thought our suppliers in Asia can do a better job because we're closer, we're in the same time zone, we can communicate more effectively, but this doesn't necessarily turn out to be the case. And then you look at, we asked some of you, what are the reasons for material shortage? And that's the ranking in the table. The top three, 60% says it's because of their next tier or the next tier, or what have you. That accounts for 60% of it. And then your own issues on quality and planning. Top three add up to be 93%. But what drives me a little bit more dissatisfied is the first one. 60% because of your next tier. Well, we have not seen this problem before, not before COVID, understand. But COVID is gone. As far as I know, there isn't a country locked down anywhere. There isn't a country posing on quarantine. The ships are running, airplanes are running, people are back to work. Nobody is really kept at home because of quarantine. I cannot understand why this can be a reason or this can be an excuse. And it drives me a little bit anxious when people give me a reason to say, my next tier is late or is short. Fine, we have problems from time to time, but what's the root cause? How do we fix it? Right? I will really start driving to the next level, understanding the why. Because when I don't understand why, I feel this is just a noun, a word being put at my face to say, because second tier is late. Please fix it. Because it's late, so they ship on emergency flights. Emergency flights typically cost about 4 to 5 times more expensive than a regular flight. Okay. If you look at the pie chart again, on the total emergency flights, Asia accounts for 36% versus your 62%. And in terms of the actual weights shipped, that 36% becomes 41%. Of the total weights of materials coming in on emergency flights. So that kind of tells me a little bit something. 41% meaning we're shipping a little bit more heavier modules from Asia, right? 30% cost emergency, but by weight is 41%. So maybe we are shipping or we are transforming supplier base more from Europe to Asia on the bigger modules. Let me go back on this slide. I did not finish. Another thing is important, which is time to resolution. Okay? Being late, okay, we face it, trying to fix it, but not resolving it in 43 weeks. That really is not acceptable. TSMC built a fab in 14 months. I always use that. I know that can generate some heat to get people's emotions. But that's good, because really put it into time perspective. 14 months versus 43 weeks, right? We're in week 47 this year already. So if a problem started from January 1st, it hasn't been resolved until now, Would you accept that to your suppliers? So, okay, it costs a lot of money to ship, to make up the loss of our deliveries. I don't care who pays for the money. It's money that we're not capturing either into your pocket or our pocket, right? So let's see if we can get rid of that. On the YieldStar 500 in particular, it's been a very difficult and challenging process in MPI. Wafer stage, WPMR, which is an electronic rack, and BFA, which is the base frame modules. Up to pilot 13, you can see the picture or the graph on the left-hand side. That shows the number of material notifications. There's total of about 200 material issues in 13 pilots. Our general rule of thumb is we want to go from MPI to mature high volume manufacturing in 5 iterations and 5 pilots. We're up to pilot 13. And our estimate, well, maybe we will get out of the trouble in pilot 19. So that's 4 times the iteration number of pilots. And my confidence level to get out of the issue by pilot 19, 50-50. So I need your help to really commit to that. And then to the right, you see the hours. 629 hours burned in those 13 pilots because of non-quality or late delivery. So some of the issues on the YieldStar 500. On the upper left, you see the magnet on the balance mask, okay? In the red circle, it's difficult to see, but I can tell you there's a gap. Next to it, there's some excess glue. And that drives the motion of the stage. Down below, there's the cooling plate. There's some TPD changes which were not followed. So at the end, there's some workmanship issue that it did not work. We had to fix it. This is the WPMR, the wafer positioning control rack. Some pins were inserted wrong between pin 10 and pin number 12. I think this is the fundamental, inserting the pin into the right hole. Okay, something must have gone wrong. And then the picture to the right, it's a little bit difficult to see it, but basically there's a bent shape of a metal frame. It should go 90-degree perpendicular, but it's not. So you see a yellow arrow at the bottom showing the bend point, there's a gap. So it was not perpendicular. I think that's from the machining, right? So these are things that may escape you from time to time. Let's work together to make sure we precisely follow the TPD, but more importantly, to really appreciate time is essence. We cannot wait for the time to slowly get out of the trouble. We need to be pretty precise. Find the root cause, get rid of it, and we move on. So this is my closure slide. Quality to factory is number 1. I give you some reference numbers. Last year, we were still in the middle of the ramp. And we were still in the tail end of COVID. A lot of materials came in late. We have quality issues as well. But everything we had to contain, we contain in the factory. At the end, our YieldStar delivery to the customers ended at 97% delivery on time. We have received no customer complaint this year. Last year, I think we received maybe 1 or 2 from systems that were 8 years old in the install base. So that's really our commitment to our customers. No matter what happens in the factory, they will get the best products that we can deliver. okay? And we need to also ask your help to collaborate in the same manner. Materials coming in on time with qualities that we don't have to worry about. So number one is quality. Number two is follow ASML's TPD. From time to time, a procedure or spec on TPD can be missed. Well, let's try to be more diligent on that, right? Delivery commitment, Bruce already stressed over and over. That's the fundamental. Manage the supply chain, okay? I don't know how many tiers you have down below. We really cannot be told on the day we expect to see the shipment and we get an email to say it will be late. Sometimes we don't even get that. Actually, a lot of times we don't get that. Imagine what would happen if my wife goes to the refrigerator, open the door, looking for food to cook dinner, and there's no food, right? But if you put that into business, it cannot be, today we need to pull in the material, it isn't there. At least let us know early, okay? So response time, the 43-week response time, we need to do a lot better to pack it up. So finally, the opportunities are ahead of us. Again, it's the opportunity to be had or to lose. We have 12 months to prepare for that. I also invited my colleague Teo Chen. He's our quality manager here today. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on Teo to really work with you on the responsiveness and also getting the problem behind us. Okay, we've gone through the industry enough times knowing the upturns, we will capitalize on the opportunity, but we cannot get there unless we really prepare well. So the 12 months is our time coming up to get that all turned around. Okay, so with that, I want to thank you very much for being here today. I know some of you will visit Linko tomorrow, right? So I look forward to seeing you throughout today as well as tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much. Next, I will invite Kerwin to come to the stage to share a few thoughts on Thailand factory.
So thanks, Tony, for the sharing. So like all great companies, ASML is continuously driving operational excellence in-house and also at our suppliers, enabling robust business for many years to come. Linko Factory has its mission and commitment by delivering products to our customers in time, right quality, lower cost, NPI first time right, while being agile and flexible to ensure competitiveness in the market. We believe all our suppliers are willing to grow with us. With sourcing and supply chain bridging in between, we believe suppliers and factory can enhance the collaboration and working towards mutual goals.
如同其他成功的企业，我们也期望和供应商一起追求卓越。林口工厂向客户承诺 in time, right quality, lower cost, and NPI first time right， 同时保持弹性跟竞争力。我们也相信供应商愿意跟我们一起成长，一起合作，一起迈向成功。
So right after Linko Factory and Tony, now it's our Tainan factory where our HMI products are being made. In order to expand ASML's technology leading position, HMI joins ASML family in 2016.
为了持续保持艾斯摩在技术上的领先地位，生产 HMI 的台南工厂在2016年加入 ASML 的大家庭。Now let's invite Head of Tainan Factory Production, Kerwin Chu, on the stage to deliver the voice of Tainan Factory. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to be here today to share with you the Tainan Factory strategy and position for future growth opportunity. And also, I'm also glad that my hair is still black. Yeah, the 2023 is a year with full of the challenge. From e-beam production volume perspective, that we have more than 50% MPI system in this year. The challenge for technology breakthrough, the challenge on supply chain stability, and also the challenge on quality. As we march into the end of the year, now we are not able to fulfill the commitment we made to our customer at the beginning of the year. However, with those progress we have made together, we're still aiming for another growth in year 24. So this page shows that our mission is to ensure win-win collaboration and partnership with all the stakeholders. Looking at the first pillar, make-to-make, we will leverage the manufacturing capability and skill we have to have some early engagement for upfront activities. This is to ensure that we can have smooth industrialization along the MPI process. For make-to-buy, this is very important that we can grow together to further expand our capability to aiming for the future strong growth up to 2030. Yeah. With this, we'll also have early collaboration with all of you to support with the supplier industrialization to make sure we have the fast ramp from proto-pilot to high volume. The last pillar, buy-to-buy, is one of the key strategies we want to leverage the regional supply base. With this, we believe that we can gain benefit from business to serve our customer, and also within the same time zone, we believe that we can have better efficient, fast response to our customer demand. Okay. Right. As mentioned before, that in e-beam business, we have tons of MPI coming in the coming years. That ASML continues to invest in e-beam for a very important future growth opportunity. So to address the concurrent engineering challenge in the future, we will play a role that trying to bridge and link within all the product value stream. So early engage on the proto phase to validate all that design and manufacturing feasibility, as well as that in supplier side. The second, to also support that from our in-house manufacturing to transition into our supply base. We will also support with that collaboration with all stakeholders, including our supply partners. And the last one, to have leverage the regional supply base is our strategy, that to bring more and more modules into the region, so we can have better cooperation, as mentioned, the better response time to serve our customer demand. So again, with this approach, we like to have the total product value stream, industrial value stream can be further improved in the coming years, from proto, pilot to high volume production, as well as from make to customer install. Followed by that, there are 3 areas we'd like to work with you together to win at this market. Lead time. As mentioned by other leaders earlier this morning, we are not competitive enough in the market. Thanks for all your support and Bruce's team's support. From Q1 this year, as of now, we achieved that 17% material lead time, now still longer than 5 months. But the ambition is still there. We are driving for all of them within 5 months lead time. So this is how we can face in the dynamic and rapid change situation in the real world. So the end goal remains unchanged. By the end of Q2 next year, we are expecting to achieve all of the material supply, the lead time within 5 months. To echo the importance of quality, if you look at the graph in the middle, we have very strong ramp from the Q4 last year to year 23 due to MPI. And also what we observe is that the quality issue also grows along with the MPI process. That's why we come out with the strategy that we want to be in the central hub to really bridge and link the total product value stream and ensure we can grow robust, and also we can fast ramp to the high volume production. So in the coming year, we still have many MPI products to be introduced, and also some relocation from either US or Europe. So we will work with all of you together to improve, to develop the structure, framework, way of working, how we manage MPI ramp. Coming to cost. This is also one of the key elements that will show our value to our customer. So within Thailand factory, we are targeting to drive 36% MEC cost improvement along the way to 2025 within the factory for MPI. For high volume product, we are also aiming for 8% reduction. And we are also looking for all your support on the cost of goods. So with that all, we can bring the value to our customer together and win in the market together. Okay. So for 2024, we recognize the uncertainty and all the challenge ahead. But we still and we will grow, work, and win together. Thank you.
Thanks, Kerwin, for the update. There's indeed a lot of competition in e-beam market, so it is super critical to ensure supplier engagement with HVM MPI, driving first-time right, quality, and cost.
谢谢 Kerwin 的分享。e-beam市场的竞争非常激烈，供应商的参与对 first time right、quality 跟 cost 都是至关重要。
We certainly hope everybody enjoy our session in the morning so far. And now it's lunchtime, and our speakers and also our sourcing and procurement accounting will also join you. And we will be having our lunch in ballroom 3. We will be having our lunch in ballroom 3, and the table number, you can find it on your badge. It's printed at the bottom.
上午的议程已经结束了，现在是午餐时间，请各位移动到 Ballroom 3去享受午餐。桌号有显示在你们的 badge 上。我们1点的时候准时开始，请大家用完餐之后准时回来，谢谢。
We will be starting our afternoon session at 1 p.m. sharp. So enjoy your lunch and see you soon.